So all right, so you went from Salem, then you went to Longwood, and now you're down at Stetson, back in the D1 world. So what got you back at Stetson? Why Stetson? And what's it like down at Stetson?
Well, the number one reason I'm here is because our head coach, Coach Jones, he's been my biggest mentor. And he's the guy that I played for when I transferred to Marshall. He got me into coaching. He's hired me. This is the third time. And so, I don't know if it's because I keep needing jobs or he enjoys having me around, but I always end up back with him. And so I think on a serious note, when you work with somebody that long for that many different spots, there's just a level of trust that is built up. And trust is one of those things, as you know, the only thing that you have to build trust is time and, shared experiences with each other in time. And so we have a lot of great experiences together. And when he got the job, a lot of people ask me, why would you leave being a head coach to go be an assistant? Because in reality, we're considered low major, and to me, it's a recruiting pitch I use, but it's also real. There's no difference between us and the Mid-American Conference or even a little higher, simply because we're all one bid leagues. Okay. So we're going to get one team in the tournament at the end of the year. Whoever wins our conference tournament, so is the Mid-American Conference. So is Conference USA, where Marshall is. So in reality, there's no difference between us and Marshall. Location, okay? But that's a recruiting and selling point. On the flip side of that, low major and high level D2, the lines are really blurred as far as facilities, as far as finances, with travel, budget, the whole deal. And so there's a lot of D2s that are really, really high level D2s that are even better funded than low level D1s. And so I got the question, why would you leave a D2 to go to what's considered a low major? Well, Donnie Jones, and I think the ability to come to a place that's never gotten it done here. Stetson's never been to the NCAA tournament ever in the history of the school. Ever. I think there's 9 schools that haven't been, and it's either 9 or 12. Those two numbers stand out to me, but we're one of them. And so those two things, the challenge, like Salem was a challenge. They hadn't had a winning season in 20 years, or we had a winning season, my third year there. And then down here, the same deal, the challenge of doing something that's never been done, and location and academics. And so really we saw Stetson as a staff, once we got down here and really started talking about it, in a lot of ways, it's a sleeping giant. Why do I say that? As a parent or as a recruit, some of the biggest things you look at are, do I love my coach? Well, you control that as a coach, okay?
Right.
Do I love the location? Do they have what I want to major in academically? And what's this degree stand for? Well, this is a top 10 academic university in the South. I mean, it's a pretty high-level academic school. And then, like I mentioned earlier, 15 miles from Daytona Beach, 45 minutes from Orlando. Can't beat the location.
No.
And so I just think that we saw it as a challenge and a chance to work at what's perceived as a higher level, Division I. And if my goal, which it is to be a Division I head coach, I thought that was a move that I had to make at the end of the day. I thought it'd be really, really hard to go from Salem to be a Division I head coach. But having been a head coach at Salem, now I could go and work with somebody I know, I trust, I care about, and he feels the same way about me at a place that's a really good situation. And we have success here. One day I'll have that opportunity.
And that sounds phenomenal. So you're down at Stetson, and honestly, we all know it's not the least cutthroat industry it's out there. Winning cures all, and winning gives you those opportunities. So it's going to come down to, it starts out with right now, the new season's getting ready to happen. With the COVID pandemic, you're getting a lot of recruits that have been granted extra years of eligibility, which in my opinion is going to make low major ball and the one bid conference teams very, very reputable this year, because now you're getting some 5th-year players and teams that have 4 or 5 of them on a team that were already good, and now they're getting another shot at it here. So it's going to be, winning cures all. So what's Stetson's roster looking like? Are you excited about this team? I'm sure you are. So, but why? What's going to make this Stetson team better than Stetson teams in the past? And why is this going to be the first Stetson team to make the NCAA tournament?
Well, I'll say this much. I know it's a little bit past July. We're obviously, mid-August, but one of my favorite sayings is, and I don't know if anybody else says this, but I just kind of picked it up earlier this summer that I said it to somebody and I thought, man, that's really true. I said, everybody likes their team in July, and if you don't, you're in big trouble. Okay. And so I do really like our team right now. We're extremely young. We have 10 freshmen.
Oh,
Okay.
goodness.
And that's, everybody got their year back. We have guys that got their year back, so they're included in that. But, we have a lot of guys, and really I think is a positive outlook for our team for the next couple of years. If we can keep everybody together, keep everybody on the same page, working towards the same goal, which is our job as the coaching staff. But night and day from where we were when we first got here. When we first got here, we had 13 freshmen. And what I mean by that is they weren't all freshmen, but they were all new to us.
Okay.
So they had to learn a new system. They had to learn a new culture. They had to learn a new set of expectations, all while still operating under the same academic restraints that Stetson had in the past. And so, excuse me, it was a little bit more demanding for those guys. But those first two classes that we had have adjusted, and they've, I think, made it to the point to where now they're the standard setters for all the new guys walking through the door. And if you don't have that as a coach, it's really hard. You got to have those upperclassmen that can kind of police things when you're not around. So what do I mean by that? Well, when guys are playing pickup, there's a certain standard that we play, how hard you need to play when you play pickup. And if nobody understands it or nobody's experienced that standard, then they're just going to be out there playing. And if there's not a coach there, which during pickup there can't be, it could get really bad. Yeah. But when those seniors and upper level guys have been around, they know the expectation, they're policing those younger guys like, wait a minute, man, you ain't going hard enough. You got to pick it up a little bit. So I think that we have that now, what we didn't have when we walked through the door, and we're really talented. We have the last two freshmen of the year in our league. They're both Florida kids on our team. It's a really good league. Eastern Kentucky's coming into it. Jacksonville State's always very athletic and good. Liberty's been phenomenal the last couple of years. They've won
Liberty's
the league the last
tough.
3 years. So we're the only team in the country that's beat Liberty the last 2 years.
Really?
Only team. So we split with them in the regular season the last 2 years, and then they've beat us in the semifinals of the tournament the last 2 years. So, they're the standard for our league right now. They are.
So your team last year went to the semifinals, and you're returning everybody back plus a recruiting class. So I think I don't think you're not being a homer. Like you said, like a coach is supposed to sit there and say, oh yeah, we're going to be really, really tough, especially like you said on August 26th. However, it's going to be, sounds like the stars could align. You bring back a lot of experience that had a deep run that they got a little taste of what could be. So I love it. And like you said, if you do well this year, I mean, obviously that's winning keeps everybody together, keeps everybody happy, and everyone's happy they stay together. The mission comes all together.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about the schedule this year. Stetson, you're going to have a tough conference. So what are some non-conference games that you have lined up that are going to really test you guys out of the gate?
It's funny you asked that because it's actually still being formulated.
Like everywhere else. Yeah.
The hardest thing with the COVID situation right now, to be quite frank with you, is just the money situation from all these schools around the country, and that's from low major up to Kentucky and Carolina. People have been stretched thin financially all across the country. Our world went through a pandemic, is still going through it, and everybody's still adjusting and finding new ways to accomplish the things they used to accomplish. And so right now we're just trying to piece together that out of conference schedule. And I think we're close, but it's a situation where like 5 or 6 dominoes need to fall. And as soon as the first one falls, the other ones will fall because it's a domino situation. But we're really still working on that daily. Those games are important to us, all of them. Every game you play is important. But it goes back to kind of what I said a little bit earlier. Sean Finney's our scheduling coach. He does a great job with that. He's been one of my mentors as well. But it's a situation where, he does a lot of the legwork, and he and Coach Jones collaborate on that. But at the end of the day, you want your non-league schedule, especially in a league like we're in, to prepare you for your league. Because what really matters for us are those 3 or 4 days in March when we get to the conference tournament. And so the whole thought process is, let's get these games non-conference to get us ready to play in our league, to put us in a good position from a confidence standpoint, but at the same time, be prepared, And so it's that fine line, Tony. You don't want to have an easy schedule where you haven't played anybody, you have a great record, and then you go into conference play and you get punched in the mouth and you're not ready. But you also don't want to go out and play 7 high major schools that are just phenomenal this year, and you come out of there with 1 or 2 wins, and now you've been battle tested, but you're also lacking confidence with a young group.
Right.
And so, still formulating it. That's the long answer to a short question.
Okay. No, and that's fair. I mean, just at the high school level, like from what I'm seeing here in Ohio, of like it's literally it's never been before seen. I'm talking to athletic directors where someone tests positive and they're rescheduling football games mid-season. Like it's kind of cool because it's like you're getting all these random teams just playing that would never play in any other circumstances, and I just hope. But it's I feel bad for the athletic directors. It's cool for me, not cool for them. So for your athletic director, I'm sure he's like, God, I am just so over all of this. And then like you'll finally get everything in, then someone's like, sorry, can't do it. We had someone test, and you have to play. You got to play games. You got to get ready for that stretch for March Madness. And for your conferences, March Madness is like a really true thing because you got the one bid. That's the one bid. Now, if you're regular season champ, then you get the NAIA bid if you don't win the conference tournament.
What was really funny is last year, it's funny in context funny. It's not obviously nothing with the pandemic is funny, but in context of our scheduling situation, a couple of times we'd be playing a team and, we had 2 or 3 games that the other team was positive and we couldn't play the game. And so we'd be like, all right, we'd all go to the office that night when we were getting ready to play and say, well, we don't have a game. Okay, let's get on the internet and see who else we'll call them and see if they want to play tomorrow. So, we're looking around and, I don't think this happened, but for example, say like UCF was supposed to play Houston and Houston popped. We'd call up Johnny Dawkins. Hey, you want to play tomorrow at noon, man? That it was almost like you were playing AAU basketball in the sense of, or even a team camp at a UCF team camp. When I used to work there, we'd have 90 teams. And so
bring your buses. We'll get the volleyball team to man the concession stands. We'll open up the gates.
and I think that for 1 year with all the devastation and travesty the country had to go through, and it was tough for kids. And I think that a silver lining in that is even at the high major level, it got back to a little bit more of the. And I'm not saying it's not every year, but we're just playing for the love of the game type deal. It almost kind of felt like that Yankees and White Sox Field of Dreams game every game. I mean, nobody's in the stands. It's we had 25 spectators was the most we could have all year last year. You felt like you were playing pickup, man, like pickup basketball. Like we love to play. That's why we play. We're not playing because there's 10,000 people here. We're not playing to get paid. We're playing because we love to play basketball. And so that was kind of cool for a year if you have to try to pull some positive out of a tough situation.
No, and and I think that you kind of touched on it, but one thing we probably need to let everybody know is, everyone just thinks that they have a Kentucky budget where it's infinite amount of money. And actually, like schools like Stetson, you schedule schools like Kentucky and go up there, and good chance you're not going to come out the way you would hope. But you bring back something very, very critical, and that is a nice check that goes to the budget, which helps fund the meals, the traveling, the shoes, the warm-ups, all the stuff that you need, the equipment, the managers. It all goes into the overall budget. So what you're talking about with money being thin, there's probably people out there saying like, oh, what do you mean? That's bullcrap. And it's like, no, it's like the 1%ers of everything else. You have your 1%ers, which have infinite resources, infinite alumni that are proud of their school because they're, national champions make the boosters open up the wallets. Stetson's probably got some very nice alumni, but there's probably not a lot lining up with like $1 million to stroke a check to fund the basketball team that year. So how important are these games, like some of these games on the road, to generate that budget? I know at Salem, you would have killed for an exhibition game against the WO because that would have funded a good chunk of your budget for the year at schools like Salem. Is it like that with Stetson, and how important are these paying games, traveling games to the program?
Oh, absolutely. It's important. And I think really, even up to Marshall, it's important. You know, it's important. And so the reason it's important at this level, it's a little different from Salem. At Salem, it's definitely important, but you're trying to cover your own budget for the year. At this level, I mean, we're trying to help the rowing team, we're trying to help the soccer team. And so, you know, our budget might be $230,000 for the whole year for all our guys and travel and food and all that, but we might have
Which isn't that much, everybody. It's
no, it's really not when you start breaking it down. I mean, you know, you think about a plane ticket is $500 to go from Florida to Louisville, Kentucky to play Bellarmine. Well, now you got 20 plane tickets because you got your whole team and your staff. There's $10,000. And so that's one trip. That's just the plane. That's not the food. That's not the hotel. And so it goes fast. But what I'm saying is, so say ours is 230,000, roughly. You know, I don't know exactly what ours is this year, but that's just a number. But we may bring in 350. So that other 120, that's going to other programs to help other young men and women have an experience. And so
Right.
It's extremely important that we play those games to help our university and our athletic department, not just about us, but to help everybody. And so you said, hit the nail on the head, that top 1%, and I always laugh, and I love this guy. Jay Billis is phenomenal, and he's funny, and he's really witty, and he's very intelligent, but he always writes, there's just not enough money. You know, when talking about somebody's getting this big new facility, and it's in reference to paying players. And he's being sarcastic. And at that level, I get it. He's kind of making a funny joke that has some merit. But there is just not enough money when you start looking at the grand scope of things. And you look at low-level Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, there's not enough money. And so, you know, I know what he's talking about, and I'm not trying to take that out of context, but that's a battle that we fight all the time, you know, funding our program plus everybody else's. That's what we're worried about, and getting kids educations.
Right. No, and the budgets, like it's the all of alls when it comes to an NCAA program, and it's some poor person's job to take care and manage all of that, which, you know, exceeds my expertise.
It's above my pay grade, man. I pass on that. I'm good.
So, well, Coach Williams, you know, we won't take up much more of your time here. We got one last question. You know, I like to ask a lot of these in my interviews with coaches before games, but I'll ask you this question for the season. There's going to be an X factor to determine Stetson's success. What's the X factor for that Stetson has to do this year to have that, you know, glorious season where, you know, finally break the skid and get on to that next level?
Yeah, I think for me anyway, from my point of view, I think that's an easy answer, and it might not be easy in a month from now, but I think it's as simple as the guys that have grown in our program for the last 2 years have to continue to take that next step. And so we can't have a regression. We can't have complacency. We can't have guys that don't move the needle anymore upward. We have to have the natural progression of guys continuing to step up, take the next step, mature, improve their game. If all those things happen, which is a big if, I think we're in a great position. Okay. But that is, you know, when you have your whole team back and you didn't have to go out and replace a whole lot, and you had, you know, we lost in the semifinals of the CBI last year against Coastal Carolina. We beat Bowling Green in the first round.
Sean, alumni.
There you go. Yeah, they were tough.
1 year. I didn't go well, but I was there.
Coach Ellis is a phenomenal coach, has been for years, and he has a really talented team. But we went to overtime, and they beat us in overtime. And so I think we have to take those experiences, what it felt like to lose in the postseason, you know, the anger they had, but also the hope moving into this next year. The guys have to make that jump on the floor. And if everybody makes the jump they're supposed to make, I think that's the most important thing for us. And if not, then as coaches, we got to find a way to get them there by the time we get to the conference.
All right, Coach. Well, hey, we wish you the best of luck, and hopefully we can talk to you mid-season when you guys are just riding on like a 20-game winning streak and just taking the world by storm, and everybody's buying Stetson gear with the big S and the green right here, you know. So, but no,
I'll take as many interviews as I need to make that happen, man. All right.
All right, we'll see you on a weekly show starting. We'll do like, you know, we'll do Adam Williams Wednesday. How about that?
Adam Williams Wednesday. That sounds great.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, dudes and dudettes, thank you, Coach Adam Williams, assistant coach at Stetson University. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on here with us. Thanks, Jeff Williamson, for helping us put this together here. We got to give him a little shout out. For all of you who don't know who he is, I promise you will be blessed by his presence soon enough on here. But, ladies and gentlemen, Adam Williams, thank you.
Hey, Tony, appreciate having me, man.
All righty. Thank you, Coach.